Most people think to stand out in this business, you need to be the first one on top of the story or the person with the loudest voice or the biggest ratings. In truth, to stand out in the news business, you just need to ask the right questions and demand the right answers.
Welcome back to the next episode of iNews TweetLines Plus. We're here. The news is a little different. We'll talk about things and show you things that really aren't discussed in the mainstream media. So, we are a true alternative. Look down below. You will see the license Creative Commons. That means you can take this video and do whatever you want to do with it. There are no restrictions on my videos. I support 100% free speech. And I'm an anti-establishment. I've said that before. I'm an anti-establishment. I'm not part of the mainstream crowd. And it's already up. After the election, I watched the election till about 7 o'clock in the morning on Wednesday. On November 9th was about 7 o'clock in the morning. Finally went to bed. 8, 9 in the morning. And decided that, I already planned to do this anyways, but I decided just to take a couple days off. I went up north, went up to my second research facility that I'm opening up north. As I said before, I'm a scientist, I'm a researcher, and came into all this through physics, actually. And research is research, and here we are today. But anyways, I got back, put things down for a little bit. Sometimes you have to sort of distance yourself from the work, sort of step back for a bit, take a breather, and then you come back in it again. And I had set up watching. I watched the American media. I watched the main channel I ended up watching was RT America, and I watched the other channels like CNN and Fox and whatever. So they all had their stuff on ABC. And anyway, the reaction on the American mainstream media was unbelievable. It just seeing people crying and freaking out, and there was literally a meltdown. And the thing is, I had known this before, the way the liberal media presents this stuff. And the thing is, you got to think about this stuff here. Their jobs are to be journalists. That means they're supposed to go out there and research the stuff. They're supposed to have a wider, open view of things, consider things that maybe haven't been considered before. But yet, this isn't the case. And I'll give an example here on CNN. And this goes into what I'm talking about, the title, when I'm talking about the Shaytards support genocide. Because there's a real factor here that a lot of Americans are not aware of. That Clinton was involved and is involved in genocide in the Middle East. You think, oh, she's supporting Muslims. Well, there's a lot more to this than you don't realize. That she has and is funding ISIS. That she has and is been working with and is involved in pedophilia. This is her work for women and children. And anyways, here's this discussion here. This is what should have come up. Now, I expected Lionel LeBron, who again he's on the left, to be anti-Clinton and to be happy about them, and he is. And he discusses this. He discusses the liberal meltdown, the meltdown of this. He calls them now the snowflake Americans, who are just literally distraught over this election, the election of Donald Trump. And here's this guy here. I don't know what his name is on CNN. I don't really pay attention to CNN that much. They're so laughable that it's just it's a joke.
I'm hearing about a nightmare. It's hard to be a parent tonight for a lot of us. You tell your kids, don't be a bully. You tell your kids, don't be a bigot. You tell your kids, do your homework and be prepared. And then you have this outcome, and you have people putting children to bed tonight, and they're afraid of breakfast. They're afraid of, how do I explain this to my children? I have Muslim friends who are texting me tonight saying, should I leave the country?
Okay, we'll stop it here. This is something that Shay Carl had said in his video after the election. I came back and I wanted to see what what he would have said about the election, and there was no video after the election. There was. You'll see the Shaitar's video. There's not a lot after the election. There's a gap, and I can guarantee you that the way he just described things, that he actually voted for Clinton. That he was on the Clinton side of things, and maybe a large chunk of his family was too, and he found this different. And he talked about how we now have hate in the United States, and that that girls in school are afraid of wearing their hijab. That this shouldn't be, and again, blaming this all, as you see here on CNN, this is being blamed on Trump, the election of Trump. This is what causes everything.
I have families of immigrants that are terrified tonight. This was many things. This was a rebellion against the elites.
Can't argue against that. Not even Michael Moore can argue against that. It says Michael Moore actually later in this video here, I don't know if I can cue it up, says that this was a giant fuck you to the establishment, and it was. And the election of Donald Trump was more about the anti-establishment voting for anti-establishment, than it was voting for Trump. This wasn't necessarily a Trump win in terms of everyone loves Trump. This was a fuck you to the establishment. This is exactly what it was. This is what I've been saying that this is what this is. That Hillary represents the establishment. She represents the wars. She represents the banks. She represents Wall Street. She represents all the greed that goes on in this world. This who Hillary Clinton represents. And the evidence was out there. It was very clear. I mean, this is the part, going into the election, they couldn't hide it. Stuff was leaking out to the point where they couldn't hide it anymore. But that's it. The liberals live in their own world. They create their own illusions, and this is it.
True. It was a complete reinvention of politics and polls, it's true. But it was also something else. We've talked about race. We've talked about everything but race tonight. We've talked about income. We've talked about class. We've talked about region. We haven't talked about race. This was a white lash. This was a
white lash. Only white people voted for this.
White lash against a changing country. It was a white lash against a black president in part. And that's the part where the pain comes.
All right, so this is what comes out on CNN. Goes on Challenge. And as I said before, you look around YouTube, along with YouTube, and this is what I like about YouTube and all these other channels, that you can't sort of dismiss things. And here's this, I found Lionel LeBron of Lionel Nation. Amazing guy, amazing, I don't agree with everything he says. But as an American, I don't have to agree with everything he says, or everything he believes in, or everything he stands for. My American understanding of freedom, particularly the First Amendment, is I may not like what he says, but I'll defend his right to say it. I may not like his belief, but I'll defend his right to have that belief. And Lionel LeBron is a person who sort of stands up and does this. So you just heard what this guy says on CNN. He's black. And here is another voice. Another bizarre that if you watch the mainstream media, you wouldn't expect. This is a black person, and she's a woman. Kiki, I think her name is, from what I can see here, Kiki Green. And I will leave the link to her channel down below. I'll leave the links to Lionel LeBron's channel, Lionel Nation. That's down below. Go subscribe. Watch his videos. Same thing here. I'll leave Kiki Green's link down below. Go watch her channel. Watch her views on things. I said you don't have to agree with everything, but listen to her views. And she is a black woman.
Ladies and gentlemen, we did it. We made America great. Again, damn it. And I'm still waiting on cowardly Clinton to come out here and give me this good concession speech. Now, I do appreciate Fox News zooming in on them liberals as they was crying last night at that convention, okay? Then she gonna send Podesta out there to tell their people to go home because she was too cowardly to concede last night, and she didn't want to concede.
Cowardly? Most people think that she was cowardly, upset, depressed. If you know Hillary Clinton, if you watch sort of going through some of these things, she's not a person who gets depressed. She's a person who gets very, very angry to the point where she shakes. And my opinion is, my view is, from what I've observed of Hillary Clinton, is that on the point that she was losing, that she was, like the rest of the liberals, freaking out. Go do a search on these liberals freaking out over Trump's election. Go look at these. There's a lot of video compilations of these, and they're freaking out to the point where they want to commit suicide. So this is what I think happened to Clinton. But this is what liberals, when they tell, oh, we want to heal the world. We want to have a whole and we want to have a whole country. And Donald Trump is going to divide the country. Watch this. Listen to this.
On that big platform, she wanted to go home and see if she could do some more spirit cooking or something and make sure it really wasn't all what she thought it was. She wanted to wake up from this nightmare. Oh no, boo, you in a nightmare now, not me. Ha ha, nanny boo boo. We need to be out here being petty today because they called you deplorable. According to CNN and these people on my timeline, I am a white male racist bigot from the Bible Belt. And I'm deplorable, according to them.
So there you go. The hate that is being spewed out now from the left, and any person who ever set up and said, I support another choice other than the liberal establishment, got hacked on, spit on, reviled against for their opinion. You are not allowed from these tolerant liberals to have any opinion that differs from theirs. If you do, they're not talking to you at a minimum, and then that's the next part. They hate you. You're their enemy. You're the type of person who needs to be defeated, who needs to be removed from society. That you're a danger. That you present dangerous thoughts, and people who have dangerous thoughts, the hate speech, should be removed from society. Well, there's one slight problem. If you look at the history of liberalism, which comes out of Europe, it's a white European thing. And I can talk about this because I'm not white. I'm Pan-Asian. And being Pan-Asian, I had a choice. And this is what happened in my family situation. My grandmother, my grandfather are from an area of Greece called Mytilene. That's near Thessaloniki or Salonika. That area there is actually what is called, it's inside the border of Turkey, because Turkey had initially, up until the 1500s, it was primarily Greek. This is where the Constantinople was. This was the center of the Byzantine Empire. You have Hagia Sophia in there. The background of Turkey was Greek and Syrian. The Syrian and the Greek church, the Antiochians and they were basically the Byzantines. That was their area. And so you had a lot of Syrians in there. You had a lot of Greeks in there. And then you got to understand that Lebanese are actually Syrians and not by themselves Lebanese. And the thing is that the whites went in there with the Muslims and wiped out the original Christian population. They wiped out, and this is not a European Christian. The Antiochians and the Eastern Christians The Greeks were not Europeans. It wasn't a European Christianity. European Christianity doesn't begin until 1000 AD, and it's in the fundamental reformation. It's a fundamental reformation of Christianity. There is no connection with Roman Catholicism. Roman Catholicism does not connect back to Christ. It is fundamentally different. It's a fundamental rewrite of Christianity. Same thing with the so-called the Christian right. The Christian fundamentals are not fundamentals because they have no fundamental connection to Christ. The Christian fundamentals began in the 1800s along with the Mormons. These people are not fundamentally Christian. They cannot call themselves fundamentally Christians because there's 1800 years difference between themselves and Christ. There's 1800 years of history removed, unknown to these people. The key to this, if you want to have some insight into this, is that the original Egyptians, the Egyptians who came out of Egypt, who were connected to the pharaohs, were called Copts. C-O-P-T-S. C-O-P-T-S. Copts. The church was a Coptic. C-O-P-T-I-C. Coptic. Right? These were your original Egyptians. The Egyptians you see today are a result of a Muslim invasion. The Syria you see today is a result of a Muslim invasion. This is the invasion of the Muslim hordes. This was the invasions of Muhammad, who went in with his hordes went in, and they slaughtered all those Christians. The girls, you can see this. The girls were in Turkey, and this is the way they're doing now for ISIS and in Syria. They took the girls, they took the women, and sold them in the markets. Who were the slave traders in the markets in Turkey that sold the Christian girls? Jews. And the thing is, the Jews were always around. The Jews have been in there historically. And the thing is that they're doing what other people, other races would have done. So the thing is, when you talk about, are all races clean? No, not all races are clean. You have people who are doing things that are not good in history, including Jews. And then they're like, we're not supposed to talk about like that. Well, this is history. And a lot of this history is left out of the mainstream media. Why? Because in order for the papacy to set up Europe, to set up the whole concept of Europe, he needed to wipe out the original Christians. The papacy cannot stand with the original Christians in the historical picture. And so this is what this whole thing has been about. Removing the original Christians. Removing the Christian ideals. And here's the problem. The Christian fundamentalists know that the Roman Catholic Church is an impedance. They know that there's something behind them, but they have no idea what is exactly behind there. And so what happens is that there are people who are starting to pick up and say, hey, wait a minute, maybe there's something different, there's something more, and it's causing a problem. And so you have an attack on the Christian right because there are people in the Christian right who are now starting to say, hey, Christ wasn't around, didn't begin in 1800s. He's earlier than 1800s. He's 0 AD. Of course, now they don't talk about AD and BC anymore. No, right? BC before Christ and AD after Anno Domini after Christ. What they're doing now, they call BCE and ACE, and it's before the Common Era and after the Common Era. But which common era? Common to who? Common to the Roman Catholics, common to the Protestants, to the work that Martin Luther did, his Reformation, common to the Masonic organizations that founded the United States, that created the United States. Which common era are we talking about? So if you really want to go back and understand history, you have to go back to the Christ scale, which is made before Christ and after Christ. It's a good scale. Functionally it works. Now, you can argue the Christian thing, but the fact of the matter is, for historical study, it works. And the thing is that these Christians are being wiped out there. And the thing is, how does it? Oops, we've supplied ISIS with American weapons for 4 years. right? This started, well, basically 2012, right? This was Clinton's baby. Right? It actually began in 2008, but didn't really pop up until after they had invaded Libya, right? Remember what happened in Libya? Oh no, just a no-fly zone. Oh, accidentally, we've killed Gaddafi. Oh, by mistake. And of course, Libya, like Iraq, fell into pieces. The weapons they dumped in there disappeared. And of course, Clinton, who didn't know about these emails, had no idea what was going on. She's a woman. She forgets things. Right? Playing the whole woman card. That's, a frail woman. I can't always remember things. It's my right to, to forget these things. Ended up with a number of people being killed after she pulled the security from the embassies. She pulled, before the attack, she pulled the security. If you read the emails, there was security there. Not only did she deny the request for more security, she had pulled the security that was already there. In other words, leaving the embassy full with weapons. They had just delivered a shipment of weapons to Libya, to that embassy. So this embassy with a warehouse filled with weapons they had their security removed. And then they had the protest, right? Which was caused by the video. And of course, these Americans were killed in there. All those weapons disappeared. Right? Remember, for 4 years they had no idea that the ISIS was shipping oil through Turkey? They had no idea that ISIS was shipping women and children.
Promote, inform, and change. We deal with issues that other networks won't.
Through Turkey into Europe, into the European slave markets, the sex markets. They had no idea about that either. They had no idea how ISIS was just gaining ground town after town with visibly American-made weapons. How these weapons ended up in ISIS's hands continuously for 4 years. Mistake. We got our coordinates wrong on our drop. Really? You've made that mistake repeatedly over 4 years? And see, my background as a Pan-Asian, my Greek is an Asiatic Greek from Turkey, and then of course this is where the young Turks, Jank comes in with all this stuff. It was merely a population exchange. It wasn't a genocide. Oh yes, and Hitler was misunderstood, and the shipment of Jews to the death camps. That wasn't a Holocaust. That was a population exchange. All these people who died in these camps merely slipped on soap, and it was an accident. This is Jank's version of history. This is Hillary's version of history in this particular area. And this, of course, spills over, because this is all mainstream stuff. This is the mainstream view of things. It spills over into the schools. It spills over. And so what happens is the victims here are not the Christians who are being wiped out, and not the original Syrians, not the cops who are being wiped out, who are now less than 10% population when they were 100% before the invasions. They're not the ones who set up ISIS. ISIS, don't forget, is Muslim. This is what Islam is. You can go into history and see what ISIS is doing today. You can see this in history. ISIS's behavior is historical. And this is why I call it a genocide. Yes, I feel sorry for the people, sorry for these girls. I have Muslim friends here. I'm going to say this very carefully, but I'm not going to give any identification. I have a friend here who was Taliban. He was fighting in Afghanistan against the American soldiers. And in the discussion as they hang out, because they're nice people. They're nice people. It described how he ended up coming to Canada. And it was when his daughter turned around and said to him, I don't want to die. His daughter is 4 years old. Turns around and says, I don't want to die. Something changed in him. Said, forget the war, forget the hostilities, and he got picked up and left. This is the reality. This is the reality of Hillary Clinton. This is what Clinton's about. Clinton's about, she's a warmonger. She's a pedophile. Yet none of this is paid attention to. This black woman here, Kiki Green, she mentions what Hillary Clinton's into. She read the emails about Podesta and his involvement in the child pornography, the child pedophilia ring, the what happened to the children in Haiti. She read the emails on that. But you listen to the Hollywood, you listen to people who came out and support, for these advertisements for Hillary Clinton, not a mention of the stuff. You hear Carlos Shea of the Shea Tart saying, "Oh, we must respect women after the veto tape of Donald Trump." I don't treat women like that. I've walked out of situations where the guys were having their discussion about their success rate, their scores. I walked out. I said, why are you leaving? This is not for me. I'm not like, I don't view women this way. I don't view I'm a nerd. I've never had a proper girlfriend. I don't do well in these social situations. So that's given me an opportunity to have girls as my friends. And that's the way I approach them. I approach them not as, hey, baby. I approach them as, hi, nice to meet you. And it's, you do the friend stuff first, and then if you have, we get a good friendly relationship going, then if there is the want for more, then you go for more. Right? You develop that relationship. So I always view girls as friends. I never view them as objects to be obtained or to be attained. And it bothers me when other people talk like that because I know how the girls feel afterwards. Because as friends, they've talked to me about this. And yet, no comment. No, I haven't heard Shea say anything about what Clinton did to Monica Lewinsky. Nothing. No one talks about what's happening to the people on the ground in Syria, in Iran, in Iraq, in Libya, in Afghanistan, in Egypt, what they did to the cops, what the Muslim Brotherhood did to the cops, to the cops, to the ancient Christians there, what they did to the monasteries, to the monks and nuns in there who are peaceful. Not a word. And this is how Shea, of the Shea Tards, who is now sold his studio for $500 million to his maker studios, $500 million to Disney Studios. He's now involved with Disney, who ironically are Clinton supporters, has said absolutely nothing on the realities of who Hillary Clinton is. And in this statement, as they made the support for Hillary Clinton, and he did make the support for Hillary Clinton in his videos, he tried to cover it up. If you were watching what's going on, who Hillary Clinton is, what their lines are, he brought out several lines of the Hillbots in his videos. And whether he knows it or not, he is supporting the Syrian genocide, he's supporting the Armenian genocide, and he's supporting the genocide of the Coptics, the original Egyptians. These people are being wiped out. This is why my family's here. My last name is Karathanasis. The Kara, there's Karayanis, Karathanasis. There's a whole group of the Kara. Kara is K-A-R-A. All right, Kara, right? So my last name was, the Americans didn't want the full Greek name, so they just kept the Charis part. Right? That's Charis comes from Kara. Right? Kara Thanasis. They dropped the Thanasis and kept up the Kara. So Charis. That's where it comes from. Charis is a Greek word meaning dark or burnt. Right? You have the candy bar, caramel, right? Or we have the candy, caramel, right? Cara is caramel, meli. Carameli. Cara means the dark or burnt, and meli means honey or sugar or syrup type of thing. And so that's a dark honey or burnt honey. This word is synonymous with the word nigger. Nigger actually, or Negro in the proper term, is that word. My last name is synonymous with nigger. This is the history we've had with the Europeans. The Europeans on both the left and the right have been racist, and they still are racist. The proof comes when you go into the UN, you look into the history of the UN to find out that the UN has had a history of sexual abuse problems with people who are helping people in Africa. These UNHCR, these camps have had a history of people sexually abusing women. When they're hungry, they have to perform sexual favors in order to get extra food. And yet, who is sitting in these UN tribunal jails? Only niggers. Why are the niggers in Africa the only ones sitting in jails charged for rape crimes? And the people who trafficked them to Europe, because this is where they were going to Europe. They were being sent to Europe. They were being trafficked to Europe. Why aren't the Europeans in these jails? Oh, by the way, did you know that the Europeans are immune from prosecution in the World Tribunals Court? That they're immune from these prosecutions? That they're not part of the World Court in terms of being subject to the rules? Neither is the United States. Here's your liberal UN. Here's your liberal European. They're racist. They're fine with color and people and whatever color you may be, as long as you give up your culture, your ideals as a foreigner, and embrace the European ideals. This is what they consider to be open and fair and being inclusive. Being inclusive means you agree with their ideals. Otherwise, you're going to be eliminated. And this is a support of genocide. This is of destroying people because you don't think they have any worth. And Shaytards, whether he knows it or not, supports this. When you support Hillary Clinton, when you support a candidate like this, a candidate like Hillary Clinton, who is involved in all these different wars, through her foundation, and she is connected to all this stuff, and as co-president with her husband, Bill Clinton, then you're supporting genocide. And also, because she was involved with pedophilia, you're supporting her pedophilia. There's nothing more to be said about this. This is historical fact. And the thing is, some people, this brings up part of it. Lionel LeBron. So Kiki Green, she brings up part of it. She brings up what Hillary Clinton is. So does Lionel LeBron. And these are people who are not supposed to be supporting Trump. Oh, Trump is all white people. This is a white lash. Really? It's a white lash. She's a white male. She's a self-hating black. She's a self-hating black female. You know, hates female, hates being a woman. Because of course, Donald Trump is a misogynist. He doesn't like women. Women don't like him. You have to be stupid to vote for Donald Trump. She didn't sound stupid to me. Anyway, this is who she is. And I say this is who liberals are. Liberals tell you exactly who they are if you give them enough chance to. And you see who they are. That they're hypocrites about their beliefs. That when it comes down to somebody else's believing against what they believe, they start to hate you. And this is why you're seeing the crying. The crying you're seeing is not a crying of, oh, I'm so sorry. It's not a sadness. This is an anger. What you're seeing is anger. These are tears of anger. And the blame is being foisted on Trump and anyone who dares to speak his name in a favor. You don't have to support him. If you speak his name in a favorable manner, you'll be attacked. And these are the same people who are saying, we need to unite our country. Really? Anyways, that's it for tonight. I'm going to leave it here. There's obviously a lot more to go into. And that's what we're going to be doing over the next few days, getting into some of this stuff. And as I said before, this channel is about provoke, inform, and change. We're still on the provoking part, but we will be getting into the information. We get more into the information. You'll find out who the NWO are. Yeah, so I got it. I sat down. I've done the work. I've got the information. I know who the NWO are. And it's not just one group. There's a whole variety of different groups that are New World Order. Right? It's not just the Illuminati. The Illuminati are, is one group, but a lot of these groups are broken up into a lot of different factions. So who are the particular groups that are involved in the New World Order? What are their points? Where do they differ? Where do they agree? Where are things going with the New World Order? And you'll see, I've found out from a variety of different sources, including Israeli sources. So anyways, keep tuned. And we will, now that we're provoking with Sheikh Carl, we will then move to information. And then, after that, within a couple of weeks, we'll move to change. Yes? As I said before, it's not simply enough to talk about being anti-Semitic. You have to get up and do something. We are the change. So I'll see you then in our next episode, probably tomorrow.
Provoke, inform, and change. We deal with issues that other networks won't.
Welcome to the library, and I am the librarian. I am the professor. And professor of what? Professor of physics.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light?
Free speech rules here at Democratic Earth.